Dragon Ball XeonVerse. So this is a DBZ fighting game, and they come out all the time. So what does this one do to set itself apart from the others? Well, it's MMO light. As you can probably see from the video, there's a hub world, there's other players around, but unlike a traditional MMO, those features aren't exactly the main draw. It's still a fighting game at heart, and while there is customization, it isn't going to take you weeks upon weeks to make out your character and get the things you want. There's a few things here and there that are, going to take you a little bit of grinding, which I'm not a fan of, but for the most part, you can pretty much get whatever you want without too much trouble. And probably my favorite thing here is whenever you unlock something for any character, every character you make gets it, which makes things much easier when you want to try out different builds and whatnot. So, how is the fighting aspect? That's probably the most important thing if you're looking at it as a gameplay perspective. And I would say it's a return to form. The last few DBZ fighting games like Raging Blast and some others haven't been too good, especially Ultimate Tenkaichi. That was just... I'm not even going to get into that. This isn't quite as good as Tenkaichi 2 or 3, I would say, to be fair, but it's getting there, and the online aspects, I think, make it worth playing even if you're a fan of those games. So, one of the problems with the combat right now is that it's not exactly well balanced. There's a lot of very powerful things that are ripe for abuse. Now, on one hand, it's fun because it makes your character feel very powerful, but on the other hand, the game's difficulty just doesn't match up to what you're capable of as a character. As you can see here, I'm a Saiyan, and as a Saiyan, if you have a Super Saiyan transformation, during that transformation, none of your special moves have any cost. So I can just spam ultimates as you see here and do ridiculous damage, almost unstoppable. And if you can even believe that, this character here isn't even well optimized yet. Since this video, my character's got better moves, longer transformation time, and on top of that, some people don't even think this is the most powerful build you can make in the game. Some people are saying there's other melee builds that are actually better, at least for PvP. For PvE, this is like, pretty much will beat anything. So it's fun on one hand, but on the other hand, the game gets a little too easy when you know how to exploit certain things like this. So balance is definitely a concern, but on the plus side, there's already been a patch to tone down some of the more powerful things in the game. So it seems like the creators of the game might actually be intending to, keep the game alive with some balance changes. I would like to see that because I see a lot of potential in the game. So what is some of the potential I see? The multiplayer. It's just really fun to play with, one other person, two other people, and just do these missions together, really get into that kind of Dragon Ball Z spirit where you're just dashing around, doing crazy things. It's just really fun to play. It's the type of thing it's a new experience, really. I don't think there's ever been a DBZ game in this style that'll let you team up with other people and just go at it. It's a really new and fun type of thing, and I hope that they add more content of some kind, rebalance the game, because I'd like to see the potential that this game has fulfilled. As far as single player goes, it's not bad either. It has an original story, which I'm not going to spoil too much because it's actually pretty fun to go through with your created character. Basically, the gist of it is there's this guy who's trying to screw up the Dragon Ball Z timeline by altering events that happen. You go down and try to stop him. There's a lot more to it once you get into the thick of it, but I don't want to give it away. But I will say is, if you're playing this game strictly single player, I can't really recommend it too highly. While the combat is fun and the single player is pretty well done, you can beat it in around 2 or 3 days. And there is other content outside of just this campaign, like you can do the online based stuff by yourself or with CPUs, and it's pretty fun. I would still say this game really shines when you're playing other people. It's not a total loss to play it strictly single player. It's still a fun game, but you might find yourself pretty much finishing everything there is to do within a week or so. There's a lot of different races to play as, different things to do. There's tons of variables, but if you're playing strictly by yourself, there's not really much incentive to try all these different characters. Because like I said before, one well-made character can pretty much steamroll almost everything in the game. So unless you're playing with other friends and experimenting or doing PvP, there isn't really much incentive to actually do that. Although it can be fun if you're the type of person to really dig into the mechanics. There's a lot here. There's a lot of variables. But if you're not that type of person and you're only interested in single player, I would say maybe give it a rental first, because you might be able to finish the game within a rental. As far as PvP goes, while I did mention it before, the balance seems to be the issue of this game. It does bear mentioning. PvP right now is mostly a battle of gimmicks. There's so many powerful things in this game that people are just trying to find whatever the most powerful thing is and just abuse it. In here in this video, basically I have a gimmick, my opponent isn't able to handle it, and I win. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really more skilled than this guy. I just had a gimmick he couldn't handle, and people are still right now finding more and more powerful stuff. Now I'm not gonna say there's no skill at all to PvP. I did bump into some people that knew how to stop what I'm doing here, and they trash me, you know, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm not going to be able to say with a straight face that you can go into PvP and have a great experience, because you might have this happen to you, where somebody's just doing this ridiculous thing that you don't know how to deal with, and you just get wrecked. So PvP is a thing that hopefully, as they balance the game more, can also come into its own. To wrap this up, I would say, if you're a DBZ fan, definitely check this out. The fact that for the first time in a fighting game like this, you can make your own character, go through a story as them, customize them the way you want, is really fun to do. If you're not a DBZ fan, I would still say maybe check it out, but only if you're really going to dig into the online and play with friends. If you're doing it strictly single player and you're not a DBZ fan, I can't really recommend. But if you're someone who's either been a fan of the series or you're down to play with other people online, I would say check it out, because the game is a blast.